Okay, I just thought I'd fire up the live screen today rather than record today's intraday update. So I'm just going to have a quick look through a few of these stocks and, I'll just show you what I'm seeing in the markets. We're pretty calm at my side, but if you look out there on FinTwit, it's a little bit head in the sand, a little bit quiet. A lot of tops and bottoms talk, isn't there? Well, tops talk, I would say. So, obviously, this is available for catch up. Just share the link. So I'm just going to buzz through these markets. What did the transports do yesterday? The transports, had a strong up day. What about the Dow? The Dow is 30 very large stocks. The Dow gapped down, closed on the highs, outside up day. What about the S&P? Well, we've kind of already mentioned the S&Ps. When you get a double top, it might turn into a base, and I'll go a bit deeper into this in a second. Let me just juggle some screens at my side so I can see what's going on. So basically, we've got this big gap down, and on the Nasdaq as well. Obviously, we've already talked about the Nasdaq starting to lag a bit and might need to basically consolidate, but you can draw a line in the sand there. It happens with the Nasdaq. It drifts off on its own for some time. The Russell, what did the Russell do yesterday? Gap down, closed pretty flat really on the day. Well, closed near where it opened. The DAX gap down. We're back up near highs. FTSE 100 gap down. We're back up near highs. 250. A little bit lower on the food chain, isn't it, on the risk fountain? But fully listed small caps pretty similar in the UK. AIM all share on its ass. It should be, shouldn't it? And my sort of real interesting chart is this one here. And let's just go through the time frames. With the all share is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months since it broke out. It's gone sideways for 8 months, and following that breakout move, and it's trying to break out of the next little, what I call a zone of interest. It's already done it on a weekly, and be interesting to watch that one for the week, won't it? Moving on from there, this is the all world index minus the US, and where's that? It's trading right at highs. So some interesting action out there. Obviously the Nasdaq and the S&P taking the brunt of the move yesterday, and this little up move we've got, I'll jump onto my screen here. 1 second. This little up move here. See this line in the sand here? This is like clean air gap. It's funny, we said that the SPY and the S&P 500, the SPY and the Qs might want to close this gap here. That's what we talked about the other day, and we said, well, it doesn't have to get there. What does it do? Bang, it goes right through. Now we've got a gap to the upside, and we've still got, the market hasn't traded in this area. So go figure, I would hold back my judgments until it's actually just spent a bit of time in that area. It might be that, these two markets move up into that area, that the obvious move is behind it, and then all markets could want to correct together after that. I haven't got a crystal ball, but I always say let the pro move get out of the way before you start, trying to sort of pinpoint market direction. Getting off the fence. Before you get off the fence, just let that pro move play out, and that's what we're seeing there. When it comes to a few of the stocks, I'll just jump into a few of the stocks. And this is just a bit of a random list of US stocks I threw in here. First things first, I'll actually just go through some of the stocks. Let me just, hang on a minute, it's in the wrong portfolio. Move to, let's get them all in. A few of the, in the US area, a few of the interesting stocks, what were basically on our radar. And it's been a bit quiet, This is what happens when the US market sort of has that good move, and that it's a delayed effect. People start to get interested in the US. But when you see it, it's already behind you, is what I'm trying to say. And it's the old chasing performance, isn't it? And it's always going to be there. The news feeds are always going to be full of it, but we don't come at it that way. We look for the slingshots in the best merch available, and it's been quiet in my screens in the US. There hasn't been that many hitting them, but these are the ones what stood out. On this day here, for buying on this day here, was the pullback into a swing or trend, whatever you do. But that was my low risk entry into DocuSign. DDOG. I mean, always zoom those charts out first. This breakout move, it just, it fired off. Where's the slingshot? This is the day it hit my end of day screens, and this was the buy price I had in, I knew the buy price. I put an order in the market, and it came down and filled my order. And that's what happened. It gapped down, and then off it went on its journey. Let me just show you Zoom, because Zoom, I had my order on this day in Zoom, and Zoom did this, and then off it went on its journey. I'll just put a little circle where my order was. It was about there. Straight away, you see sell off, you think, oh, well, this is going to be a loser, isn't it? But these aren't, I'm not strangling the life out of these things. These are loose swing entries, pullback entries. You can see how much they pulled back. So yeah, it just absolutely takes off, doesn't it, today? So it's a fantastic day for us. I mean, they were the screaming ideas. I'll just throw you out today's idea. It was the only one on last night's end of day screens. What even, looked like a great idea. It's a bit of a funny one, eBay, for me, because they've dropped all their charges. So the forward numbers are light on it. They've dropped all the charges, but I think they're just going to knock everyone out of business here. I mean, you can sell stuff on eBay now and don't pay any fees unless you go for the additional sort of criterias. And we've got like sites like DDOGs, what they compete with eBay, and everyone pays charges to sell on DDOGs, and eBay's the biggest audience, and they've got no fees. So what's going to happen to these other sites out there, and the auction sites as well? You know, they charge the buyer, and they also charge the seller, and it works out around 15-16%. It's like eBay's just doing a bit of a rug pull here, I think. And even though they're taking a hit on the forward numbers, you know, that's just my opinion. You know, I haven't researched that any more than looking at the numbers and knowing what they've done. So, you know, there'll be far more clued in people than me on this. But it's just an interesting one that what's happening. But the forward numbers are light on this. But, you know, as a swing, you know, it works or it doesn't. As a long-term hold, yeah, you're going to have to do a bit more research, aren't you? That's basically what happens with these things. So that's my 2 penneth on that. And then let's just go and have a quick look at... I'll just buzz through this list. We've got a few off my sort of watch list here, the US ones, and there's a few IPOs in there as well. I'm just going to try and find those ones that got whacked yesterday, and we'll just have a quick look at the action. We you know, I've drawn a baseline up there. I always say, well, if ARM bases out up near all-time highs and coils up here, you know, this could be part of a coiling action, couldn't it? You know, it's always my view. I did exactly the same thing here, didn't I? You know, I always do that. You know, let the IPO breakout happen and then let it coil up. I will always come at these things the same way. You can see I've done it on Upwork there as well. Always the same. This LZ, you know, don't know anything about it. I would say that, well, if it bases out here, it would look even more interesting to me, but it has got overhead supply, a big band of it here. NVDA, here we go. So, obviously NVDA, I mean, high five to Sean. He's got a huge trade from the beginning of this trend. We focused on this one and the US tech coming out of the bear market, and this was our first. In fact, our first setup was this one here, this day here. That was our first setup, and then the second was this breakout here. So you know, for someone who's in this, it's the best problem to have. You know, we talked about, you know, we were quite vocal on this setup as well. I even posted this one live. I don't usually do drop audibles, but it was such a great breakout. And then, you know, consolidation, and then it went back up to highs, and we've got a baseline. It's gone reverse vol now, hasn't it? It's, you know, it's got whacked. It's its first visit to the 10-month or the 200-day. And something else I repeat over and over again, let's move that out of the way, is, you know, if you're going to get long something what's gapped down like this, just let it, the prime setup is it takes the lows of that red bar out, and then it, have a look for the opening range going, which is 12,200 or something like 12,195. The opening range is basically right on the highs today. That would be an intraday little slingshot into a potential recovery, but let in the actual swing day post is the end of day version. So you got the intraday and you've got the end of day. Now I will just say, you know, anyone getting into this for a long-term position, well, the entry was here for the long-term position, and the stage 2 base, you know, the big stage 2 base was here. So you got stage 1, stage 2, and, you know, there's a potential this could build a big stage 3 up here at some point. Obviously, it could just roll over and die. For those who bought the low risk early entries, they've got risk management, you know, what's starting to come up underneath this price action. And, you know, some people will be pretty close to maybe exiting this position, depending on the time frame of their the trailing stop. So yeah, you've always got to be conscious. It's about new names. It's not about old names. NVIDIA was a new name back here. Not a new name, but a new emerging stock. And this is where it emerged. You know, every man and his dog's shouting and screaming about it up here. So just remember, these are the people who get paid. The people who come at things, you know, from the emerging areas. I mean, Datadog's, you know, it's not the best trading stock, is it? It really isn't. Big kind of loose base here, but you know, that was just a really clean setup. And where it goes, nobody knows. Nobody needs to know. I don't need to know. All I need to do is manage my trade. You know, let it play out. So that is that. Let's just jump back on that list and see what else is in there. Go a bit lower on the list. Yeah, Meta through that little base there. Same. You know, this was the breakout, and this was the pullback again. And the real sort of pullback was what, see this red bar here, when it took that out and then closed back above it. That was the better entry, even though it went and took it out again. That was the sort of area, you know, where I would have been, well, where my screener would have picked up this price here around sort of 55, somewhere around there. Let's just buzz a few more of these. And you get what I'm trying to get across here. You know, your eyes can tell you whether you're early, whether you're late, you know, whether you're in the, you know, right in the zone of that first pullback after the breakout, or, you know, the first pullback is always the best pullback, isn't it? You don't always get it, but, you know, an early breakout, an early stage base, is it stage 1, 2, 3? Is it first pullback 2? You know, if you're looking at a second pullback, why didn't you buy the first pullback? You know, all these things come into it. You know, it's all about quality of setup. And, you know, you can wait a long time if you've got a favourite stock. But if you approach the markets with an open mind and saying, well, I'm going to see what stock's in the zone today, rather than, you know, waiting for my watch list of stocks to come into the zone, that's going to be a little bit more productive. So, yeah, that's my 2 pence on that today. It's, you know, let this gap sort of attempt play out, and then you might see some more direction in the market. And we'll come back to the end of screens later, and we will have a quick look and see what hits those screens. If anyone's in the chat watching and they've got any questions, shout them out. For the Russell 2000, let me just jump on that. Just use the ETF. IWM. No worries. A fantastic start to the day. Well, fantastic day, really. Not the best start to the week, was it? But we will see. It's certainly a good day today. Cheers all.